in the bag, and this is Wrestling Inc. on August 13. I'm Justin LaBar here for Wrestling Inc. in our post-SmackDown review, alongside the owner-proprietor, Mr. Raj Giri. Raj, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Very good. 2 nights in a row. I love it. And, of course, the mayor, Mr. Matt Morgan. Sir, how are you?
I'm owner-proprietor. Guess what of what?
Of what?
Your ass! No, I'm joking. What's up, everybody?
You seem jazzed up tonight, Matt.
I made it uncomfortable.
All right, guys. Overall,
speaking of making it uncomfortable, have you guys seen Corey Graves' Instagram?
No, actually, I'm surprised I didn't. No.
He posted this video of Big E approaching him during the commercial break tonight and was talking about how he wants him in a sexual way. It's a very, very disturbing video, but it's pretty funny. It's worth checking out.
Dude, did you see Big E in the Skittles commercial? Dude, he is so charismatic.
Yeah, he's definitely got a ton of charisma. And we'll get to it, but I think the fans are starting to turn on Kofi.
Yeah, mixed reaction. Yeah, mixed reaction tonight there. Kofi and the New Day in the main event spot, which we'll get to. But let's kick it off the way that WWE kicked off SmackDown. Kevin Owens taking the ring in front of his home country, talking about his victory against Shane McMahon, and ultimately saying how he really wants to be part of the King of the Ring, and that would be as important as any of the titles that he's won in WWE. Interrupted by Shane McMahon. Back and forth there, tosses some footage. Ultimately, Shane McMahon saying he's fining Kevin Owens $100,000 for attacking Elias, who was a special guest enforcer / referee at SummerSlam. And he teases that Kevin Owens has a match later on tonight. Guys, this was a lot to digest, and I found myself actually at one point in the segment yawning. I feel like they could have been a lot shorter, a lot quicker, a lot more concise to get to the point.
As you with your recap, I'm just joking. That was too easy.
How much more concise can I get?
For you, that was, and definitely for Glenn, that was. Really quick though, what does that mean though? Like in his home country. So does that mean every time I wrestled in, Maine or New Hampshire, I was in my home country?
That was Vince's point about Brett not wanting to job in Canada, right? He was like, he's not even from Montreal.
But yes. I agree with that because it is a much bigger country than we give it credit for. We treat Canada like it's a freaking state sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like if somebody's wrestling in Montreal, but they're from, Calgary or Quebec or wherever or somewhere else.
I'm just pointing out that they play up the fact that Kevin Owens is from Canada. I know that they were in a different province. I know that they're in Ontario and he's from Quebec. I know this. I'm just pointing out they play up.
But it's wrestling. It's not just you. It's wrestling in general. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But this was. I don't know. It included Shane McMahon, so I don't like anything that includes Shane McMahon anymore.
Yeah, as soon as Shane came out, I just groaned. I was like, man, I thought this was done at SummerSlam. They had the stip and everything. There's no reason for this to continue. and Owens' promo, he was just losing me. Again, not being able to write for baby faces, where he's complaining about the fine. He should just be like, fine me what you want. I'm going to keep terrorizing you. But Austin would never whine.
No, they'd be like, it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. Austin used to jeopardize his own job.
Right.
Weekly. He would jeopardize his job and going to jail weekly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Gladly.
Yeah, Austin wasn't complaining about $100,000. He would just go, rob a bank and drag the bank vault into the arena.
No,
right,
guys. He threatened to pull a gun on Vince McMahon the entire episode.
And he caused Vince McMahon to pee his pants.
He doesn't care. Like that's got to be like that. Like that's not tough to write for.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems obvious. You want Owens to look strong. He came, he just had the big win last night. He's on a roll.
Yeah.
Instead, they made him look weak to Shane and then lose. Even though, granted, it was as fast a count as it can be, but it's just stifling that momentum that we always talk about.
Here's the thing: you need for the deck to be stacked against you. You can't say the deck is stacked against me. All right, it's us. It's up to us fans to digest it. Again, I use Stone Cold. Being dragged out in handcuffs and wondering, well, Jesus, if he's in jail, he's not going to be at the pay-per-view tomorrow, is he? On my own, if he shows up, wow, the deck was really stacked against him. I don't need to be told that.
Right.
I saw it. Right? Yeah. It's more powerful because I, as the fan, on my own, drew that conclusion. I don't need Stone Cold coming down to the ring, shutting off his own music to get the microphone as he's walking down to the ring, going, Boy, I tell you, having just a ham sandwich in jail last night really screwed up my diet. I don't know if I'm on enough carbs to be able to go and complete this match versus Kane tonight. You never heard that.
Yeah, and people, wondering why we're bringing up Austin so much, because this is clearly kind of a modern version on Austin McMahon. It's except with Owens McMahon. It's today's version, which isn't near as good.
Baby face, fine. The Rock, Kane, who could hardly talk. When he would talk and he'd do the gimmick like this, he was not complaining about the deck being stacked against him.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know who did? Brett, and that was how they turned him heel, because he was whining and complaining
for it. I couldn't stand him for it. When Stone Cold would start calling him whine against Stone Cold, sorry, but he was the first one to call him out as a whiner.
Right.
Yeah,
it worked.
Kane was not complaining with the voice box. He was threatening to set himself on fire. What we're losing in all of this here is the fact that this is not over. So we have another Shane Kevin Owens match, presumably on the horizon. Like, what else? Hell in a Cell? Like, what else are they going to do?
I don't know. The Shane giving up the big spots, though, right? Every single time we see him, that's what we pay to see. If we pay to see him at all, let's pay to see that stuff. He better be doing a quadruple Indy flip off the top of the damn arena. That's all I'm paying to see, including Shane McMahon.
Maybe someone in the chat can help me, but when's the last time Shane lost 2 pay-per-views in a row to someone? And that's the thing I'm a little worried about.
Why is he on 2 pay-per-views in a row?
Absolutely. But I could see him getting the win over Owens here.
He probably hasn't done 2 consecutive in a row in a long time.
He did with The Miz earlier this year.
2 consecutively?
Yeah, he beat Miz at WrestleMania, and then the next month
he
beat him again.
God. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that probably was the first time he did consecutive 2 in a row. After that, he was always sprinkled as.
Yeah, then we're going back like at least over a decade.
Yeah, Mean Street Posse days. All right, so we table it with the fact that Kevin Owens is going to have a match later on. At this point, we don't know who. We move on to where we have Charlotte Flair going up against Ember Moon. Of course, Charlotte getting a big victory at SummerSlam. Ember Moon getting a loss. Pretty, entertaining match between these two. I've said before, I love watching Ember Moon. Charlotte Flair gets the win. Matt, reaction to this one?
What did you guys think? I want to ask you, because I love Charlotte winning. I think she's the best female, period, of all time. How about that first statement? But that said, what about Ember Moon? They're supposed to be building her. She's supposed to be.
Ember's getting the Andrade of like 6 months ago treatment, where they continue to feature her and put her against valid opponents, but no victory. Now, obviously, Andrade things have turned around, but yeah, it's just like I give me some kind of a finish where Ember. Ember just flat out tapped out.
Here's the catch. Vince and lots of other people say it. I used to think they used to say it to us so we'd be okay doing the job or losing or not being at a featured spot. And that was, you should always be, happy that you have TV at all, because it's your opportunity to make an infomercial about yourself during that time. Okay, my argument used to be like, okay, so cool. I'm going to make an infomercial about what? That I lose every time? Sweet infomercial. Ain't nobody dialing that 1-800 number. 1-900 Matt Morgan always loses. Ain't nobody dialing it. You know what I mean? It made no sense.
Yeah, and you've seen her. Week after week, like you're saying, every week she's on TV and losing. She loses more and more steam. I think this was just their way to write her out of the title picture for now, and give Charlotte her win back, because Ember beat Charlotte a few weeks ago, which was the last time she won on TV. She's lost every time since.
I was shocked with that.
Yeah, so they're beating Ember like a drum, but it's clear they don't have plans for her. Charlotte, obviously, with Becky, that's not Becky, with Bayley, that's a natural feud to get to. It might be a little soon, but Charlotte is Charlotte.
When you throw her up, okay, don't put Charlotte out there. Have Charlotte cut a promo, backstage vignette, something. She just got done beating what many consider the greatest of all time in Trish. Yeah. A lot of people do. I don't. Right? So why not use that opportunity for ring time to have Ember Moon wrestle one of the females on the roster and have her handily beat her?
Yeah, and have Charlotte Flair just do a promo by herself, just cutting a promo on how she defeated who people consider the greatest of all time. It's
a 30-second promo, 1 minute tops. Yeah.
Matt, since you're endorsing Charlotte so hard,
yes,
obviously you have Sasha and Becky. That's going to be the one title feud now moving forward. Like, because Charlotte, in your words, is so elite, is one of the best. Does she constantly have to be? Does she have to constantly be involved in one of the title pictures? Because I mean, like right now, WWE, until they give the women because until they give them their own programming, like until they give them a women's only show weekly on the network, they're only going to really pretty much focus on 2 stories, and it's going to be for the titles.
Here's a problem. Okay, so that's why I'm hoping. That's why I like what the match. You just said non-title. It should have nothing to do with Charlotte. It should have nothing to do with the title, and it shows that the women's division can handle non-title storylines that are important and that we're emotionally invested in. It shows more depth. This is what we've been asking for. Remember that Intercontinental U.S. champion level of matches that we need to see in the women's division to have more segments with those women. I'm not just saying it like Glenn does. Glenn just wants as many female division matches as possible. He doesn't give us a reason why. I'm giving us a reason why. Because we're emotionally invested, especially in these 2.
Yeah.
Becky and Sasha, shoot. I'd buy that, 5 days, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. How about that?
Yeah, and Justin, to your point about Charlotte Flair not needing to be in the main event, and she doesn't, but when she's not, the title doesn't feel that important. I feel like the SmackDown Women's title has not felt important since Becky lost it, and Bayley just is just not doing it as champ.
Okay, that makes sense. The championship should be in the it should be in the main event, but here's the deal. They're not always putting the girls, no matter who's the champion, in the main event situation on pay-per-views. So the championship needs to mean more right now because of what happened with Bayley with the title, unfortunately. Not because of her, because of how they wrote for her. But I think they can still do that. They can walk and chew gum at the same time here.
Raj, am I correct? And this is a really stupid question I'm going to get blasted for. If we have Sasha and Becky on the 1 title, if Charlotte's the next person to challenge Bayley, that's the 4 horsewomen, right? That's all 4. Okay. Yeah, so maybe that's, and I know Triple H was asked on the most recent conference call about the whole hypothetical 4 horsewomen of WWE versus 4 horsewomen MMA. I mean, I wonder if they're strategically placing. I mean, they got them all now. The pieces are now in place then to get all 4 of them.
Wait, I'm confused now. Why did you say Charlotte would have to be involved? She's on a different show.
Well, because the 4 horsewomen of WWE/NXT, I was making sure that it's Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, Becky. So my point is that if Charlotte's next deal is Bayley for that title, if Charlotte's going to be involved still with the title, that's the 4 horsemen right there dominating the main roster titles. I was just, the topic was just brought up to Triple H at an interview last week. So
this is the one thing we've talked about this on this podcast a lot. Internet fans talk about the 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen. The rest of the fans could not name
one of the MMA
3
ones.
of them. Yeah, right.
I sure as hell don't.
No one really cares. Really, I mean, it's just I mean, I can name them, but most people can't. I mean,
who's won the champion in NXT? Baszler.
Yeah,
Baszler.
Yeah, Shayna Baszler.
Okay, so I can name 2. My bad.
All right, and you got Jessamine Duke and Marina Sharif, but now I'm thinking I might have said that wrong. But anyway, outside of that, no one cares. And Ronda Rousey is gone having a family now, because I remember a lot of people asking about Ronda Rousey coming back at SummerSlam and interfering Becky's match. It's like she is leaving to start a family now, unless there's some scientific,
Did you see that commercial she did though about missing wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, she said that when she not retired but left.
Were they Devon in it?
I think she'll be back come SmackDown to Fox. I think she'll be back sooner than we expect.
She was at home in bed doing all these chores around the house and being bored to death. You guys see that commercial? And her husband's in it with her, Travis, whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's her. Yeah, on her YouTube channel. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, her thing, from all accounts that I've heard, that Ronda talking about wanting to start a family and have kids is not a storyline or just an excuse for her to take time off. That's legit. And as you know, we're all dads here. We know how much time. You don't say, I want to have a baby and boom, it's done. It takes a lot, It can take years. So, and
not the physical and the mental, and that's a big deal.
Exactly.
The biggest deal.
So unless she's changed her mind on that front, I mean, I could see her making doing a promo or something like that, but coming back to wrestle or starting an angle, I don't see it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll table the Rousey fertility talk, and we'll get back to it. Moving on, we go to Daniel Bryan and Erick Rowan. They come up the stage, cut a promo, basically say that they were not involved. They don't want to be accused of being involved as the people behind this Reigns attack, and that they will prove that they are innocent later tonight. So a little Law and Order there. And then we go backstage to Shane McMahon. He's interviewed, and basically we find out that Samoa Joe is going to be the opponent for Kevin Owens. We talked a little bit about Joe yesterday. Raj, we'll get to Joe, I think, a little bit later. He's obviously clearly back to being a heel. It seems like that was just a one night only thing in Canada with his babyface.
Yeah, it was just so Sami Zayn, apparently, according to the Observer, it was just so Sami Zayn didn't get a big pop. It was to stifle his pop. All
right, so Joe versus and Joe versus Owens coming up later. They've never done this. This is actually in the amount of programming we have, we've never seen this match on Raw or SmackDown. They didn't really tout that at all, which was surprising. Whatever.
I like this matchup for so many reasons. These are both guys that I know Vince like the back of my hand in this regard, and I know he looked at both of them at one point or another and said, "Are you kidding me? This is who we signed? They look like this." And they've proven it wrong 1,000 times over. You don't got to be a body guy to be a successful professional wrestler. And Joe more than Kevin, in my opinion, as far as getting the most out of your body and being a killer in that damn ring and not looking like a muscle man, right? And being believable. But I've been waiting for these two forever to get in the ring. I love this.
Damn it, why don't you look more like that Matt Morgan fella?
Yeah, I just verbatim.
Yeah. I mean, I just thought Owens, the way he was booked tonight, when he was in the backstage segment with Shane and through the chair, he's like, make it 105. First, he's so concerned about getting fined.
That's how he should have been the whole time, though, Raj.
He should have just been like that. Not 1 minute he's concerned about getting fined, the next minute he's like, make it 105,000. Yep. Shane never said how much the fine is. It could be another 100 grand.
And this is a great example of WWE creative at times, because there's so many of them there now, North Dakota and South Dakota. What the hell does that mean, Matt? That means one doesn't know what the hell the other's doing. So I guarantee you there was a different writer for those two segments. I'll guarantee it.
Yeah.
And did not check for continuity.
Yeah. And then again, I just feel like Owen should not be losing tonight. I feel like he's got some steam on him. He's got some steam as a babyface, even though it was a ridiculously fast count. Just that the thought of him losing it just seemed too soon. And
I'm completely biased when it comes to Joe. I think he should win every single match he's in. I'm terrible when it comes to Joe or AJ. So you guys shouldn't ask me my opinions on either of those two. Because they're your friends that you always privately root for. So it's hard for me to it honestly is. So I was happy Joe, went over, but I was like, damn, but they're building KO. Like, KO's supposed to be the man right now. He's had a big win in the pay-per-view. This is how you follow it up?
Right.
You could that big of a wonder.
Yeah, and if you're having Owens win, you don't have to beat Joe, because Joe is in this Roman Reigns storyline kind of, and I'm sure that's leading to a babyface turn sooner than later.
Get Joe out of the equation here.
Exactly. Yeah, have him Owens beat somebody. Elias's interference backfires. Owens gets the win. Do the old SummerSlam '88 where they slam his hand to the mat for the 3 count. Just do something like that to keep Owens strong, keep his momentum going.
Wait, same as Ember Moon versus Charlotte. Just a match that you shouldn't have had to happen. It hurt the other party more than it helped the other that wins. So that's my question. Why can't they just how don't they see that? We can't be like the know-it-all wrestling analysts here. Like, everybody thinks and says these things. So what is happening there? Nobody there is seeing it or caring enough.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have Ember beat like Mandy Rose or someone just not doing anything right now. There's a lot of people you could beat, or Charlotte Flair beating one of them.
Fine. Yeah.
All right, we'll move on, go to commercial, come back from commercial, and we get Aleister Black back in his setting once again. He talks about everyone has to pay a debt, talks about waiting to see who's going to knock on his door again. Matt Morgan, was this North Dakota or South Dakota writing this? There's more riddle and rhyme here from Aleister Black.
Yeah, you didn't get that? He was telling he wanted me to knock on his door. You didn't get that?
No.
No? I have no idea. I got nothing. Don't know what the hell that was.
Raj, decipher the code.
I thought it was cool the first time he did it with the knocking, and it ended up being Cesaro, and they led to that. I think it's getting a little old now.
It just doesn't it scream so obvious that he keeps saying who's knocking on my door, and you have another creepy character in Bray Wyatt screaming "Let me in." I don't know. I mean, is it just me? Is it just too obvious of a layup?
I think
Was it a
Bray
coincidence?
knocking on a door, just the image.
Well,
of that.
it's metaphor.
No, I know.
It's a metaphor. I don't know.
I just
When
you don't
say
want
it
Bray.
that way. When he says it that way, Raj, it sounds completely obvious. You know what I mean? But it can't be Bray.
Yeah, I just don't think you want to beat either. Again, Aleister Black's kind of new. His new character's kind of new. I think the next guy Bray beats it should be similar to Finn. Someone that can take the loss, but Bray gets a dominant win, and you just keep building Bray's character. I just think it's too soon to be feeding Aleister Black to anyone.
Yeah.
Real quick, we had no follow-up with Bray Wyatt or The Fiend last night or tonight. You guys okay with that?
Yeah, I kind of am. I'm okay with it.
Let it breathe. Just ride that momentum from Sunday. Just let it.
I don't know if this is something we need to see every week. I know he's had a win, so maybe there should be follow-up because of the win. I would say yes. If this was a normal athlete on the roster as a pro wrestler, we should have follow-up on their thoughts. What are their ambitions now with such a big triumphant win that propels them up the ladder to potential main event status, potential championship status for all we know? That should be on their mind. He's not the normal wrestler. You're not going to get that interview out of him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm cool with the mystique with him.
Yeah, I kind of like it too. I hate bringing. I mean, I bring up all these '90s references all the time, but remember when Hulk Hogan turned heel? He wasn't on Nitro at all the next night. All these people, wanted that follow up.
I hated
Right,
that.
but this made you that much more excited for the next week.
Well,
True.
And even more so. I mean, there's been a lot. I've seen a lot of comparisons, and rightly or wrongly, of like they've done the debut, they've done this lift off of this Fiend character as good as maybe they did Undertaker back in the day, and back in the day when Undertaker was a new character. That was in the days where you did not have, the programming was so stretched out. 4 pay-per-views a year, superstar tapings, and so that obviously, prevented them from oversaturating the Undertaker character in the early '90s. So maybe to Matt's point, maybe to both of your points, that this is the right way to go about it. Like just live off the great viewership they have Sunday night, and the YouTube video is doing phenomenal of Bray Wyatt's Fiend entrance. So just ride that for a few weeks.
Yeah, I would experiment just having, when you are going to have Bray on TV, just having him, with his red sweater, that gimmick, and the Fiend is only on pay-per-view, at least for a while. See if that works, see if that, because that seems to be the most interesting thing right now. I think that video has the most views of any of those SummerSlam videos.
Yeah.
I think by far.
Yeah.
And it'd be pretty cool if they can keep the Bray Wyatt, Mr. Rogers look of it. They can keep it all on pre-tape stuff. Never show him live, but let that Bray Wyatt always be pre-tape.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now we get to about the halfway point of the show, and maybe we can debate if we want. I don't know if there's any debate here of this being the match of the night: Roman Reigns versus Buddy Murphy. And obviously, the story behind this is Roman accusing Buddy Murphy of being at the scene of the crime, and we get this match after nothing but vignettes for the past week for SummerSlam, and then last night we get this match and. Roman selling his ass off. He's performing well. Buddy Murphy getting tremendous offense. Guys, did both of you believe? Because I did. There were several points where I thought Buddy Murphy's going to get the win here. He's going to get an upset, even if it's dirty. Even if it's dirty.
No.
All right. Well,
no, not once.
Not once.
No,
not even dirty.
I'm not trying to be like a smartass either. Hell no.
All right. Well, I'm more gullible than Matt Morgan is.
That is double R. He ain't doing the JOB to him ever.
I did think it was Cedric and Drew the other night. I did think there were times where I'm like, oh man, are they going to have Cedric win this? But I didn't think it was Buddy just because.
Be you comparing Drew to Roman in Vince's eyes.
Right. Yeah. But this match reminded me, and I actually wanted to get your take on it, Matt, because you talked about with Drew and Cedric how it was a great match, but Cedric shouldn't necessarily be that competitive with Drew, who Drew should be a top guy. Did you think that with Buddy and Roman? Like, was Buddy too competitive against Roman?
Here's the difference. Roman has been fed down our throats so much, and it's obvious, like, he's another one that I would call a hood ornament of WWE, right? He's the John Cena, the guy for the most part. He's been pulled back a little bit, but nonetheless, he's the guy there in that company. Because of that, because he has oversaturated the main event picture for so long, that this is what you do with him, actually. You give this guy a ton of offense. You help get and build another superstar with having him be a little bit competitive here. It works in this because also Roman is a babyface that can take it. As long as he doesn't lose here, he can take all that and help get that other guy over. Drew's a vicious, badass, mean son of a B heel. You know what I mean? So I'd be very careful of how much I make him slip on that proverbial banana peel and show his ass in certain matches. I'd be very careful when and who I chose to let that happen with. It would not be Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, and Roman made Buddy look like just $1 million here. And when I say that, I'm not saying like Buddy is not a good worker by any means.
He's fantastic. He's better in the ring than Roman is, but nonetheless, as far as it's what you always say, it's not just about being good in the ring. You got to have like that star power to you. Roman has that.
Right. As far as being
people over.
Yeah, and he sold his ass off for Buddy. He made. He made Buddy look like $1 million. I was saying, I tweeted like Buddy should buy him a 6-pack or something after this.
It was the last spot before the commercial break in that match. But when Buddy Murphy off the steps of the apron did those double knees to Roman on the outside, Roman sold that like his nose had just been blown up. And that was just one case of Roman selling and making Buddy.
He's a locker room leader, right there. That's corny because now all the young guys I hope watch that match and said, well, shoot, if this dude's selling his tail off for this guy who's never on our show, who the hell are we not to be doing the same thing?
Yeah, and Matt, you always talk about maximizing your minutes, and Buddy has not been used in a match since the brands, not the brands, but the draft or the superstar shakeup back in April. His first match, and going out there looking like $1 million, Roman helping him out in every way that he could. I thought this was a star-making performance for Buddy if they follow up properly. Now we'll get to the backstage segment later, but. I think when you give someone like a Buddy Murphy this kind of momentum, you need to follow it up with him winning next week. Get him a victory over someone like a Rowan who people don't really care about. Someone like that.
I'm yet to see a bad Buddy Murphy match. I'll be very honest. I'm yet to not see. I'm yet to see a match from him that I'm not like, holy, this dude can go. I'm being serious. He's that good. I've watched a few of his 205 Live stuffs. WrestleMania, his match at WrestleMania was insane. Was it last year or this year?
I think it was this past year. No, that was
last year.
Was this past year?
It might have been this past year.
It was versus the abs.
The abs. In the chat, help us out, guys.
Not Tony Nese, no.
Yeah. That was it, right?
The Nese?
It was him versus Nese, whatever the pay-per-view that was. I argue that was a top 3 match on that pay-per-view. And it was on the pre-show.
Yeah, no, Buddy Murphy's awesome.
He's awesome.
And his tights distract me a little bit with the Incredible Hulk ripped, tights a little, but I feel like he's got it otherwise. He's got the look.
And he looks like an athlete.
Yeah,
God forbid. Look at that.
And hopefully this performance, I won't silence everybody, but hopefully anybody that still has the BS of Roman can't work, hopefully they can just get that the F out of here because.
Shove it up there, you know what? Seriously, homeboy can work.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they don't know that already, then they're just hating for the sake of hating.
Yes.
Right. All right. So we get a few backstages that just basically continue to promote what's New Day and Revival and such later on. Nothing really of note there. Next match we get Samoa Joe versus Kevin Owens, and they announce that once again Elias will be the outside the ring special enforcer. Ultimately, it ends with Elias. Breaking up what looked to be the finishing pinfall for Owens, pulls this ref out, and it pulls the ref out, and the ref does a serious face pump on the outside. If any of you guys didn't catch that, go back and watch it.
It's hard to pull a ref out, by the way. It's not easy. The ref's got to help you a little bit. So your homeboy's super strong.
Yes.
And going face first to those mats, it doesn't feel good.
No. Window.
Yeah. As a bad guy manager on the Indies, I pulled many of the refs out, and Matt's right. The ref needs to do a little. He needs to do a little army crawl with you.
It's hard.
That ref just slipping,
stuck looking super weak.
That ref just slip and slide out.
Yeah, that was the thing that stuck in my mind most about that finish was that ref bump. Poor guy.
So the ref takes the bump. Elias jumps in. Joe rolls him up, and it was like 1 second of a 3 count. So Kevin Owens gets screwed out of the match here. So again, just building again to the inevitable Owens versus Shane. In what capacity? We'll have to wait and see. Matt, you're a Samoa Joe fan. What'd you think of the match?
Great for him. I thought he looked good.
Yep. Raj?
Samoa Joe, he hasn't, I guess a win is a win. He hasn't gotten many wins on TV this year. So, I I'm hoping that they're going somewhere with Samoa Joe and Roman being a tag team, not an official tag team, but being a tag team at the upcoming pay-per-view against whoever the attacker is.
Why? What makes it happen?
Well, because Samoa Joe was checking on Roman after the car accident. And later, Roman tweeted how he tweeted some complimentary stuff about Samoa Joe.
That Joe's the guy that did it.
No. I think that Joe's going to be his ally. He could be the guy that did it.
Well, Joe couldn't have been the one driving the car because Joe was standing right there.
Right, unless he paid
someone. He could have hired somebody, yeah.
But what about the week before? Oh, yeah, duh. Yeah, that's true.
No. All right, well, speaking of that, we get Dana Bryan and Erick Rowan. They do much of what Roman Reigns did the week before. They go into the locker room. They tell everybody to clear out except for Buddy Murphy. And they proceed to just interrogate him and say, tell us you lied, tell us you lied. They start just beating the hell out of him, and eventually, after being beat down, Buddy Murphy screams, "I did lie," and so that's where we end that segment here. So the big question, I guess, that we teased earlier, Buddy Murphy gets the match of his WWE career so far, at least from a prestige standpoint, against Roman Reigns. Did this babyface Buddy Murphy, or did this bury Buddy Murphy?
Not buried. It hurt him, though. It hurts him a little. It definitely hurts him. He got punked. He got totally deboed.
But he's outnumbered. It's not like he got punked just by Dana Bryan. He's outnumbered.
Blurred out at the end, I thought. He looked really... Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, if they were giving him a serious push, they're not going to do that to him. They're not going to do that to a Seth. They're not going to have them get their shit kicked out of them and then say they lied.
Well, again, it's not like he got outnumbered and he tried to stand his ground. They were in his face. He tried, but then he just gets his ass kicked by two guys that are obviously manipulating him.
Yeah, but they treated. He was beaten down like a scrub. Like, he got no offense in. He was just tossed around like nothing. Now, again, to your point, I think you have him beat Rowan next week, and it makes up for it. But I felt like after the match that he just had, this kind of brought it down a little. It kind of curbed the momentum a little bit.
Here's what I liked about it is in that performance against Roman Reigns. Like, it's obvious. I think they've established, they've given us Buddy Murphy did not do it. He's not the person behind the attack, right? So he has the best match, best showing against Roman Reigns. And then this, to me, puts some sympathy on him that he gets bullied and shoved around by these two guys. So to me, after the performance he had, people want to cheer him and say, "Oh, this Buddy Murphy guy's legit." So this backstage kind of kumbayas it and says, "Okay, now I have more reason to want to cheer for this guy." This guy got wrong. To me, it works.
Yes, if he's going to be babyface, yes, he's not going to be babyface though.
And you still don't have him admitting to lying. I think you still have him denying it and then get beaten down.
But he admitted it because he needed the attack to stop. He was getting beat up by two guys. He just said it just to get him to stop. Probably. I think that's what we're going to find out.
But in wrestling, that's a wuss move. It is.
All right, Raj,
to lie to stop a beating, it's just.
All right. Well, next time Erick Rowan and Daniel Bryan start kicking your ass in your house, we'll see if you'll lie.
That's not wrestling.
Of what's badassness,
but like in John Wayne movie, he's not gonna start lying to stop getting his ass kicked. Or Rocky movie.
He's representing his own age demographic with that reference, folks. I have nothing to do with it.
Who, me?
I've actually never seen a John Wayne movie. I should have just stuck with the Rocky reference. But.
Raj references everything to late 80s wrestling and 1970s John Wayne movies.
Right.
Late 80s wrestling is it's easy.
Yeah.
Everybody gets it.
Hulk Hogan would have never done that.
Yes. It really is. It's such an easy analogy always to use.
Yeah. So we'll see where they go with Buddy. I've seen so many times where you see someone start to get momentum and it's just stifled the next week. Like, I could easily see them have Rowan squash Buddy next week.
Oh, no.
That would be terrible.
I know it would be terrible, but I could easily see WWE doing that.
You're not doing anything with Rowan.
I know. But, when Vince sees Rowan next to Buddy Murphy, Vince is one of those guys. Height is more important than physique. He'll
Yes.
Yeah,
you're right.
If someone's a tall monster, even though they're not jacked.
It somehow equates to... It doesn't make sense, really. It doesn't make sense.
And it's wild because once upon a time, Erick Rowan was the weak link out of the Wyatt family. He was the least experienced, least talented, and now here he is. I mean, obviously Wyatt's got his own thing going on, but here he is now, focal point of the top story, the top guy.
He does have a great look.
Oh, he has a great look. Yeah, absolutely.
He definitely stands out.
He does. All right, so we go to the main event match. It's supposed to be Big E and Xavier versus the Revival, but the New Day comes out, and then Randy Orton comes out. They pick up more with Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston, Smack Talk. Randy talking about how he, was talking about how pulling the family card. That, Kofi's wife and kids were there watching, and make it personal. And basically, they turned into a 6-man tag that Kofi's going to join his New Day brothers. Randy's going to join the Revival. We get a 6-man tag. Teddy Long style. Guys, what do you think of this? I mean, this,
Revival with Randy, I thought.
It's weird. Not that I'm advocating. I'm glad you said that. Not that I'm advocating for Randy Orton to be in a faction again, but there's something very appropriate about Randy, who's old school, with the Revival, who is as old school as fanny packs and Ribera jackets. So there was something that worked with this.
You can see those three sitting there watching like Young Bucks matches and other people's matches and just like dying laughing at it. Like, these freaking kids don't get it. These kids don't get it. You know what I mean? It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you had someone else with them, Randy Orton, the Revival, and someone else, I could see that being a cool little faction. Just Randy Orton, the Revival, is not quite enough.
What about what's his name? We just said him earlier. Murphy. Is that enough?
No.
He's not someone I see Vince really pushing at that level.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about what would be a cool fit. What would be cool?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of someone like a Batista, like a young Batista that's like kind of the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buddy Murphy to me screams new millennial wrestler. He doesn't scream old school Randy Orton Revival.
He seems like he'd be like the X-Pac and the...
He doesn't need to be the muscle, but
EC3, he's like a younger looking Randy Orton, yes.
Randy Orton's like 6'6" PS.
Yeah.
He's very tall.
a big guy.
Yeah. All right, well, Revival and Orton do get the win technically, and then there's a big melee after the fact, finishers being hit, ultimately RKO on to Kofi Kingston. So, again, and we knew this after the end of SummerSlam, obviously Kofi and Randy not done, presumably going to have a match of Clash of Champions. It would be appropriate, right, to have some kind of a stipulation or something as this seems to be heightened. So stay tuned, folks. And then we go backstage to finish it off. Bryan and Rowan in their locker room. Roman Reigns has found them, approaches them, and basically Bryan and Rowan say, it wasn't us. You saw Buddy Murphy admitted he lied, but Bryan and Rowan end the show with the hook of, we know who the culprit is. We've done our own investigation. We'll reveal it next Tuesday. So, dun, dun, dun. Tune in next Tuesday.
What do you think about them saying they did their own investigation? Everything DB says, I think, is hilarious.
Yeah, he's great. And again, I like this kind of stuff. I like the cliffhanger, the having to tune in. Yeah. A lot of this is so cheesy with how it's been executed, but it's still more interesting than most of the other stuff that's on.
You gotta wait till next week to find something out. I'm cool with that.
Exactly. Yeah, same here.
I don't want to give all the credit to Eric Bischoff, but I will say this. This is an honest recollection. I remember when I was starting to be able to notice this stuff. I noticed it obviously with WCW was really good with it with Nitro. And then even when Eric came and got involved with WWE the first go around in the early 2000s, there is, and again, maybe this is a coincidence, but with Eric involved, there's usually always a very strong emphasis on always giving you something, always some hook for next week on a major storyline.
You didn't want to come back.
Yeah, right. Never giving everything away. There's always just a little bit more.
Yeah,
and I noticed it for a lot of years in Nitro, and I even noticed it when he became
Nitro.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence that he's always involved when that happens. So I think, I mean, I got to think maybe that's something to credit to him. Is that
the talent when he was there the first time? He had no saying anything.
Right.
At all? He didn't? Was it strictly talent? Okay.
Less than zilch.
Okay. This is the first time he's had any pull, but on his podcast,
I did see that.
Yeah, but on his podcast, he would talk all the time. He had this initials. It was something like storyline, action, and suspense, and something else. But suspense was one of the big ones, and you're seeing that right now. And again, I really like that. I also liked Orton, his beatdown of the New Day at the end, just giving them all RKOs and really heating them up.
Unleashing.
Yeah.
All right, so that was SmackDown for August 13th. And, of course, they did promote, by the way. We should just, shout it out. I know we think we mentioned it last night, but they announced tickets go on sale this Friday for the big 20th anniversary SmackDown show that will be at the start of October. That is the first show on Fox from the Staples Center in L.A. So our SmackDown reviews are going to get real interesting as we go through the fall here as we get closer to that. So that's it for SmackDown. Raj, do we have some news?
Yeah. Do you want to run through it? Let me pull up the Raw. I'll go through the Raw viewership if you have the rest. But Raw this past week did 2.729 million viewers, up 10%. It was the second best number since the post WrestleMania Raw. So. The second best after Raw reunion. So a really good number for the post SummerSlam show. It was only down like 3% from last year, although it was down about 12% from last year's post SummerSlam episode. But still, for what it's been doing, I'd have to take that as a good number. The number dropped, I think it was like 5% from hour 1 to hour 3. And that's one thing since Heyman has joined on, and they've had shorter matches, and it's been a lot faster paced show, is that the third hour has either gone up, which never happened before, or the drop has been like single digits percentage wise. And before that, it was like a 20%, 25% drop from hour 1 to hour 3. So the stuff that Heyman's doing to keep people hooked onto the show and no longer treating the third hour like it's a throwaway has been working.
And this might be an unpopular opinion to the audience that's watching this show, but obviously it's working to the masses. I think shorter matches are better.
Yeah.
You know, save the longer stuff for pay-per-views, but I mean, I'm a wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan for almost 30 years. I appreciate guys who can work, but I'll be honest, week to week for Raw and SmackDown, I don't want to see matches that go 3 segments. I just don't.
Yeah, you want to see characters and storylines that build to these matches, not just random matches that are long for the sake of being long, that have no stakes, and then they end up in a DQ or something.
That's one of the things I'm most looking forward to, or most interested to see what AEW does when they have weekly TV, is how they structure their format. Will they go to commercial in between matches? How long will their average match be? I'm really interested to see how they tame that.
They seem like they'll have longer matches, at least in the beginning, for sure.
Speaking of that, actually, with AEW, one of the stories we have on Wrestling Inc. That was real popular today, check out, is AEW has announced that Jon Moxley versus Shawn Spears will be on the second episode of AEW's Weekly TV on Wednesday, October 9th. That's the one that's coming from Boston. So those tickets go on sale this Friday as well. Also Friday, so a big day for wrestling tickets. So Moxley versus Shawn Spears already being advertised for show number 2. So guys, this looks pretty good. I mean, obviously there's all kinds of fanfare around episode 1, but you got to give people reasons to keep tuning in.
And also episode 3, Young Bucks versus Private Party.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 3. I like how they're rolling them out like this a little bit, and they're doing it through different media platforms to do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I like this. I do. Some of these matches now, one can argue, is that really enough to draw? You know what? It's like you guys argued when I said, why are they announcing Cody versus who's he again?
Sammy Guevara.
What?
Sammy Guevara.
Okay, Sammy Guevara was really good in the ring, obviously. But I remember going, that's who you're announcing for your first show on television? That's what's going to draw people? Now I realize what it is. They're just going to continue to layer, stuff out there as far as what matches are going to be available on each episode. Just as something. They're not saying, hey, this is the end-all, be-all. This is why you need to watch the episode alone. Because that's the kind of advertising we're used to with pro wrestling, is they give what the main event for that show is generally going to be to hook us to make sure we're there to watch it. I don't know if that's a successful strategy or not.
Raj, you've been making a lot of 90s references. Pop quiz. Do you remember the very first match on the very first Nitro?
Pillman. That's why I said I like Pillman versus Liger.
Yeah, Pillman versus Liger.
Jeez, Matt.
What a basic question. Raj knows that in his sleep.
I wasn't. I just testing the name.
So that's the analogy. But that's the example I used as to, okay, maybe that's why they're now. That's why Cody's getting the first match. He knows how important that's going to be.
Yeah.
In this lineage one day.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Yokozuna versus Coco Beware on the first Raw. That was the first match.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the first main event was?
Yeah. Undertaker and Damien
Demento. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, people remember the first, and that's it's gonna be a big deal. I got to ask you guys this. So also for the first episode, they got Jericho and Mystery Tag Team against the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. So it'd be so
fitting if it was a revival. By the way, I think they're probably still in a contract at that point, but it'd be great if it was them.
They pull a little Lex Luger,
right?
Yeah, I think LAX has been the rumor. I just don't feel like that's a big enough name, especially this.
I think the real LAX. No offense to those boys, but that ain't the real LAX.
Yeah, and if it is the LAX, is AEW a little too? Is it mainstream enough with what they've got?
Real LAX Hernandez in Homicide.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Hernandez in Homicide with Conan.
Conan.
Yeah.
All right, keeping on with the news, talking about matches, Clash of the Champions, the next WWE pay-per-view, and we
I said those boys. I'm getting old. God dang, guys, old man Morgan. I refer to the wrestlers as, oh my God, I'm getting old because they're like kids to me. But I'm sure they're probably one of you guys are telling me after the show, Matt, like the guy's like 37. What are you doing? he's not 20.
At least Jericho's there for us.
How old are the two new LAX kids? I did it again. God,
I think they're in their 20s.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talking about Clash of the Champions, we talked a lot about it last night at the end of Raw, and Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer, saying that the plan is in fact for Clash of the Champions to be Seth Rollins defending his Universal title against Braun Strowman. So, I mean, how many times can Strowman strike out an title?
Yeah, I agree.
It reminds me of when they'd always put, me and Justin were talking a little bit about this before we went on the air, but back in the day how they always put Undertaker in the world title match when they didn't have, the right guy just to kind of fill the card. But Strowman he just hasn't been booked well over the past year.
Right, big difference. Undertaker goes on undefeated streak for like freaking 15 months after he loses the world title match.
But Raj, even saying that, and like Strowman's been off and on TV. I mean, we talked about last night. He got a huge pop last night. People, they want him.
Booking. It's only for so long you can get that. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's not as over as he was a year ago, with the crowd, where they would just, jump on their feet when he'd come out. He still gets a big pop. And, this week they were in Toronto. The atmosphere is a little different. It's kind of like a New York crowd. But, you hear Strowman, I mean, granted, he still gets one of the best reactions on the show, but it's not where he was a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And now that he's re-signed, I just think him not winning the title, him going against Seth Rollins and not winning the title hurts him, even if he doesn't lose, just because he has been gotten so many chances at the title and has yet to win it. Maybe, but then again, maybe have Strowman win it for now and have Rollins chase.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Seth Rollins, but I questioned this last night. What was the point of duplicating what happened at Mania? Why is Seth the champion again? Give it Strowman. Give it to Strowman.
I think with WWE going to Fox, they really want a top babyface on SmackDown, which is Roman, and a top babyface on Raw, which they see as Rollins. And
it should be Braun.
We've been saying this for years. I agree, but I think it's the way they've been positioning it. They see Seth as that guy, but I agree. I think Braun is. He's that freak of nature. Anyone that sees him, you just can't, stop. You can't help yourself but look at him, and he's entertaining.
And he's due.
Yeah. He's been over forever, and he can go with the right opponent.
Yeah.
We saw with Lashley.
All right. Well, speaking of who's going to be fighting for champions and what have you. So the King of the Ring is starting next week. This is our final story we have here on Wrestling Inc. King of the Ring starts next week. It definitely is going to be taking place over a period of time. It won't just be a one-night-only thing. 8 superstars from Raw, 8 from SmackDown. Dave Meltzer reporting. Now, mind you, this is Dave reporting this. WWE has not made. The only ones I think they've officially said was Drew and Cedric. Raj, correct me if I'm wrong. But the speculation is that this is going to run for a couple weeks, probably culminating at Clash of the Champions. Dave reporting that the 16 superstars will be, for the red brand of Raw, will be Baron Corbin, Cesaro, Cedric Alexander, Drew McIntyre, Ricochet, and Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and The Miz. And then the SmackDown will have Ali, Andrade, Apollo Crews, Buddy Murphy, Chad Gable, Elias, Kevin Owens, and Shelton Benjamin.
Well, where's Chad Gable come into this?
Yeah, there's a couple wild cards in that. So, I mean, obviously we don't know what the brackets look like, so we can't actually, until we see the brackets, we can't fully predict who makes it to the finals. Just based upon star power and positioning, just my prediction, I'll toss it out there, I would think you would end with like a Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre, but that would be both Raw guys, and I got to think they're going to try to have a Raw versus SmackDown guy. I don't know, but
I think one of those two will win, and then whoever it is, they don't make it to the final.
I could see it being Drew versus Ali and Drew winning it and taking it all. So WWE they were the ones that released the names today.
All of them. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. WWE released the names today, but the Observer did report that the finals would take place at Clash of Champions. But it's cool. It's cool that they brought it back. It would.
But once they brought it back, to use it for the right talent that needs it.
Exactly.
Drew or Ricochet.
And just go ahead and do what they've always should have done with King of the Ring. Just go ahead and say, whoever becomes King of the Ring is going to have a guaranteed title shot.
That's what they used to have back in the day. I remember Mabel and a few other guys that they got title shots out of it. And you could easily do it. You got enough pay-per-views to fill that it doesn't have to be a title shot at Survivor Series or something, but you could do it at, one of your B shows at Hell in the Cell.
One thing I am surprised about it, I mean, not necessarily surprised, but I mean, it makes sense to conclude it at a pay-per-view at Clash of the Champions. But the week prior, the go-home TV to Clash of the Champions, I think I have the dates right here, Raj, is WWE's going back to Madison Square Garden. They have not done TV at MSG for a long time because MSG, the cost to do TV there is bananas compared to what it is to do it at Barclays. But they're going back to MSG, and this is, of course, after New Japan and Ring of Honor and such have gone in there. So I kind of thought maybe they would try to do something like culminated at MSG because the ticket sales for MSG for Raw and SmackDown are not as strong as MSG sales used to be.
Yeah, and the ticket sales. So one thing we talked about last night, the ticket sales for this weekend, SmackDown was not that great tonight. Raw and SmackDown were not sold out. There were a lot of tickets on the secondary market, and same for NXT, but. MSG, the ticket price was really high. The ticket sales were soft, and I just don't know if King of the Ring is enough of a draw to change any of that.
All right. Well, we'll have to see. I mean, again, I think the draw for the King of the Ring is going to come down to what does it mean? Do you just get a crown and a scepter, or do you actually get a number one contendership? Do you get something that matters? So
I mean, WWE they're canceling house shows all over the place right now. They got 5 events coming up that are canceled this month. So just the stars right now are not, the booking and everything is just not drawing people to the arenas. But real quick, a couple things that came up later in the day. Roman Reigns has signed a new WWE contract, a new multi-year deal. No surprise there. So he's going to be sticking around for a long time. And Santana Garrett, WWE has signed Santana Garrett to a development deal. So
she's been around for a while.
About time.
Yeah. She's great. She's really good. She's got a cool. She's good in the ring. Got a great look. She was in Impact Wrestling for a while as Brittany, I believe, was her name at Impact. So, it should be. I think it's a good signing.
It is.
I think the depth of women's wrestling is probably the best it's ever been. If you look across,
for sure,
the indie. I mean,
over the country, it is.
The world. Yeah, the world.
And WWE has been aggressive with signing the women too. I mean, you compare AEW's women's division to WWE's, and WWE
not even close.
It's not even close.
All right, well, that's gonna be another one in the books here. Just under an hour. Lots of good SmackDown talk, and of course some news bits. Again, Wrestling Inc. Your place to be every single day, and podcasts and content every single day. Obviously, we have the post SummerSlam, post Raw, post SmackDown. We have the Weekly during the afternoons, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'll be joining Nick Hausman tomorrow and Thursday. Raj, I think you guys are doing, you and Nick are doing video on Fridays. I mean, like, there's literally something every single day if you want to subscribe to the Wrestling Inc. channel. So make sure you do so.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Weekly TV is on hiatus right now, but it'll be back, I believe, next week.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely keep checking out the site and follow these guys on Twitter as well as myself.
And Matt, I've gotten tweets. People think that you hate me. We have a feud going.
They don't tell you that because
they do.
I didn't see none of that.
They do. Read.
Really?
You and I got a beef. They think that you're very annoyed. You want Glenn back very badly.
Like literally, that's what they wrote.
Yes. You and I. No, I'm not making shit up. I'm telling you this.
All right, self-confession. That was me. I wrote that.
Mystery solved. We have the culprit.
I've known Justin way before we even done these shows together. So
I met you like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You're just not a Limp Bizkit fan, maybe.
All right, Raj, what do you want to put over? Go ahead and promote.
Just keep checking out the site. Yeah, it's a supremely crazy busy week, so just keep checking it out.
Matt?
Nada.
Come on. Pander. Pander.
Nope. Just here for the free drinks.
Yeah, by the way, I'm going to laugh if Ezekiel Elliott does not play for the Cowboys this year. As a Redskins fan, I'm going to laugh if that's going to happen.
And Dak Prescott if they don't come
And
to terms.
Dak.
We're going to jump off a building if we don't get it.
Have fun with Alfred Morris. All right, I'm Justin LaBar, at Justin LaBar. Like I said, join me and Nick tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday afternoon for the Winkley. A lot of good, fun stuff. And just follow Wrestling Inc. day to day, hour to hour, all kinds of new content coming out. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Leave a nice comment. We enjoy it, and we will talk about it.